Please put your hands together for Mr. James Judd.
You know, when Glenn asked me to do this show, I was hesitant because I knew that I would have to portray myself as a 10-year-old. And if there are two things I really, really cannot stand, it's adults playing children and children. It's 1975. It's the first Tuesday in June. It's the semifinals of the Foothill Elementary School 5th grade book report competition. And right now, I am this close to being named top 5th grade book reporter. I know, it's huge. Now, I know that I am not cute and perky and good at tetherball and everybody's favorite person like Mary Applebaum, I know. So I know that if I'm gonna win this thing, I need a book that's really big. I need something that's just gonna put me over the hump. I need something edgy, something ripped from the headlines. So, the book I've chosen is My Search for Patty Hearst. Well, Mary finishes to a thunderous ovation, and Mrs. Hewsong calls my name. But as I get up to approach the front of the classroom, a teacher from another classroom comes in, and she knocks on the doorway, and she beckons for Mrs. Hewsong to come out into the hallway and talk to her. And Mrs. Hewsong says, "Go on, James, just get started without me. I'll be right back." And she's gone. Well, this is not part of my plan. And just as I approach the front of the room, a beam of light bursts through the curtains of the back of the room and lands in a dazzling white pool of light right in front of my feet. And I step into that light and I think, spotlight. So I ask, how many people here have ever been kidnapped? Nobody raises their hands. So I ask, how many people here have ever been locked in a closet? A couple of people raise their hands. I ask for a month and the hands go down. Well, by the time Mrs. Hewsong comes back into the classroom, I've already drawn a number of pictures on the blackboard, including all the names of all the major members of the Symbionese Liberation Army, the SLA, the group that kidnapped Patty, Donald DeFreeze, Nancy Ling Perry, Bill and Emily Harris, you know the rest. Over here is a 7-headed snake, which is the group's trademark and frequent backdrop for publicity photos. Here is a crude layout of the Hibernia Bank where Patty reintroduced herself to the world as a member of the terrorist organization. And here is a stick figure of Patty as she appeared that day, reintroducing herself to the world as Tanya. Well, Mrs. Hewsong comes back into the classroom and she stands in the doorway. And I can tell she's discombobulated by the pictures on the blackboard and by the silence in the room, because just at that moment, I was having everybody write their own ransom notes. Power to the people! Rise up, my revolutionary brothers and sisters! Get up! Get up! Well, the principal calls my mother and tells her to come pick me up from work. And my mother is livid. Not because of the book. She gave me the book. I come from something of a strange family. When my parents met, my father was a missionary from Utah. My mother was a cocktail waitress from Las Vegas. I like to tell people I was really the only hard-drinking Mormon in kindergarten that could shoot crabs. So I said to my mother, okay, well, what is it? What do you want me to do? She said, I want you to watch The Young and the Restless for me and tell me what happens. Now, my mother was addicted to soap operas, but now that she had this new part-time job, it was killing her not to know what was happening on her favorite soaps, especially The Young and the Restless. I mean, this was the land of time before time when there were no VCRs or TiVos or DVRs. It wasn't even Betamax at this point, so... You know, it was really killing her not to know what was going on. She says, it comes on at noon, Channel 2. You do a good job, and this whole day will be our little secret. So I watched, and wow, what an eye-opener. Later that night, after the rest of my family had gone to bed, my mother comes into my room. She pulls up a chair next to the bed. She turns on my overhead light. She gives me a shake, and she says, well... What happened? Lauren was buried alive on the eve of her wedding to Paul by a jealous ex-boyfriend. Is she still alive? Yes. She managed to drill an air hole with a diamond on her engagement ring. And it popped out of the ground just as Paul was walking by. Well, did he dig her up? No. He didn't have a shovel, so he went looking for one. And he ran into Nikki, and Nikki said she had a shovel and she'd give it to him. But then Nikki said that she's in love with Paul too, and she wants him to marry her tomorrow instead of Lauren. And if Paul is okay with that, well then, maybe they should just leave Lauren where she is. Well, what did Paul say? Nothing. He opened his mouth to speak. And then he closed it. And then he opened it. And then he closed it. And then the show was over. Now, I don't know how many of you here watch soap operas, but that's what they do to you. They find some way to get you interested. And then they make you wait and wait and wait and wait for the whole hour until they finally get to the one thing you want to hear someone say. Then they open their mouth to speak and then they close it. Open, close, open, close, open, close, like a fish. And the screen fades to black and you have to wait for a day or a week or a month or forever to find out what it was they were going to say. My mother says, oh, that is a perfect way to drive a person crazy. Okay, you can stay home tomorrow too. Oh, what the heck, there's only a week left of school, you can skip the whole thing. Well, by the end of that summer, my mother was paying me $1 a day to stay inside and watch her soaps for her. And then act them out for her when she gets home from work. Well, needless to say, it was a great summer. And from over the shark freezes and it goes, oh! Did you do this? What is wrong with you? Your mother said it was the worst looking plane she'd ever seen. Christmas list, Mom.